Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Tidy Cats, here to level up your litter game with their new Performance Plus lineup. Your home is your happy place, your cats, VIPs. So when it comes to the litter box, excellence isn't optional. Choose from products that specialize in max power clumping, low tracking, or odor fighting so advanced, stink won't see it coming. Tidy Cats Performance Plus. Mission mighty, keep it tidy. Shop now at tidycats.com.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
I've been in this library for 6 hours. I'm out of snacks and energy. Plus, I just realized I forgot to put deodorant on.
Oh, girl, you're a mess. Let's run to Target.
Let's RTT.
We'll grab some protein chips, body spray, and deodorant.
And we get 20% off with Target Circle so we can get those great face masks for our self-care Sundays.
I love an SCS.
Let's get out of here.
College students get 20% off their next purchase with Target Circle. Subject to terms. Visit target.com/circle for more details.
Hear that? That's now Crispy and McCrispy strips meeting creamy Caesar sauce. Sounds extra crispy. Caesar sauce at McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. I'm Teacup.
And I'm She-Cup, and we are so excited to bring you this podcast dedicated to unraveling all the mysteries woven in to the Assassin's Creed universe.
Each episode will be diving into a different lore discussion, from Pieces of Eden, solar flares, and the Isu to the Hidden Ones, the Order of Ancients, and of course, the Animus. We will seek to uncover it all.
So step into the Animus, join us in the shadows, and maybe even take a leap of faith. Hello and welcome to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. My name is Shelby. You also know me as She-Cup, and I'm here with our co-host.
Hey, I'm Austin or Teacup.
That you are, and we are back for another Assassin or Templar episode, so I'm just going to turn it over to you.
That's right, we are. And today we are coming in with going back to medieval England. This is a couple hundred years after the events of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And we are talking about William II of Normandy, more popularly known as William the Conqueror. And so, if you don't know, William the Conqueror is the first Norman king of England. And so, if you're unfamiliar with history, we come in and the line of Alfred of Wessex, Alfred the Great, they establish like the first Anglo-Saxon kingdom of England. And then there's some debate. Sometimes it's Danish or Norse kings that rule England or Anglo-Saxon kings, and it goes back and forth a lot. There's a lot of intermarrying and doing all of that. William the Conqueror is from Normandy, which is in France, and he is the first Norman king of England. He is a iconic figure when you talk about like establishing England for what it is going to be. There are, I think, 3 names that come up when you talk about the origin of England, and that is Alfred of Wessex, William the Conqueror, and Charlemagne.
Mm-hmm.
And those are really like what comes in and like establishing the English monarchy for what it is. But William the Conqueror really cements the work of those who come before him in establishing the monarchy of England into the powerhouse that it will become several hundred years later. So big guy. But so just a little background of him, and we're kind of go through his little historical timeline very, very briefly for some things. And we'll talk about some things that he did and doing all of that. And then some Assassin's Creed involvement. So he was the bastard of his father, who was unmarried. And so he comes into the dukedom of Normandy. And there's a lot of contention because he is not a legitimate heir. However, Henry I, who is king of France at the time, and the Catholic Church basically back him and say, hey, you're going to be the Duke, and we support you as the Duke. And basically the rest of the world falls in line, because when the king and the Catholic Church, who at this point in history have a pretty strong hold on the western part of Europe, granted, they're going through a lot of problems with a split in the East, is if they say someone's going to succeed and do this, it pretty much is going to happen, because they have a pretty strong death grip on power in Western Europe at this time. And so basically, he then, as he becomes an adult, Shelby, do you know how old he was when he became Duke of Normandy?
No, I have no idea.
7 or 8.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Who was his? I guess Henry the First. Then was
Henry the First, and then there's an archbishop of some French town that I cannot pronounce. But yeah, so if you don't know, there is a show on Amazon Prime called King and Conqueror that is really, really good and really well dramatized. It's not that historically accurate to things, so don't do that. But it's a really good show, and it kind of showcases a end of the relationship between Henry I and William, but there is a paternal kind of relationship going on in there. And I think that this comes to the point of Normandy sits on the English Channel. If you control Normandy, you can basically control trade with England, or if you want to try to invade England, Normandy is your staging ground. You either need to be in good graces with the Duke of Normandy or take them out and control Normandy yourself. It is one of those places that is just really, really important to France in its staging for anything outside of going to Germany or somewhere else in Western Europe.
Yeah, it's just one of those places that's a vital location.
Yeah, so this is why it's a big kind of thing. And I mean, I think it's important that, Normandy is where, the kind of pushback of the European theater in World War II began. Too.
Right.
It is a big place of it's where, Europe kind of meets the Atlantic Ocean and with the English Channel and all of that stuff. It just is, it's very, very important. And so when he comes as a teenager and a young man and all of those things, he starts to solidify and does a bunch of campaigns against other dukes and other places to solidify his hold as the Duke of Normandy. And he does this and he gains a lot of support. He gains support of various bishops and the church, and he gains support of known as an accomplished warrior and an accomplished leader. So this is really kind of interesting because the historical record is not really consistent here, because you have the Chronicles of the Anglo-Saxons, which tell one story, and then you have the French historians, which tell a different story.
Well, when you're the conquered versus the conqueror, yeah, you're going to have different perspectives on it.
Right. And it's important because, if you are familiar with this kind of era of medieval England, Alfred the Great starts his chronicle. And he is really, really important for documenting what happens. And it's such a point that he is a point of documenting of this meeting happened. These nobles attended. This noble said this. Kind of when you think about if you read a court transcript and it's judge says this, defendant says this, prosecutor says this, defense attorney says this, of it's kind of like that, of a really stated record so that they can establish what they need to know. And so other people start doing it, and it kind of differs here. But the point that really kind of hinges on this turning point for William the Conqueror is when his first cousin, once removed, who is Edward the Confessor, King of England, he names William his heir to the English throne in 1050. Which I just want to pause here, Shelby. It's so funny that this all happens at the same time that out in Rome and everywhere, Christianity is splitting itself in half.
Right, crashing out. Well, and I do think it actually makes sense because, like, the church is not involved in this.
They are and they aren't.
But not as much as you would think they would be.
Rome itself is not as involved. And a lot of times they would be. Like, Rome at this point, the Holy Roman Empire still exists, which is important to note. So, like, the remnants of the Roman Empire are still there. So, like, Italy and Rome hold a lot of influence on the various kingdoms of Europe, especially Western Europe, because they're the power. Because they can basically make or break your rule in the eyes of the people, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So, sources say, depending on which version of the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle you're reading and what French historians are saying, Edward sends Harold Godwinson, who is the Earl of Wessex, to Normandy to swear fealty to William as heir to the throne. These sources also claim that Harold swore to do this upon holy relics to support William's claim to the throne. Other sources claim that Harold ended up in Normandy by mistake and that no such oath was made. Knowing these two conflicting isn't how the show chose to enact this scene really interesting.
What do you mean?
Well, they have him basically, he does swear an oath, but the oath he swears is to support the rightful king of England.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and also,
it's a way, I think, of like trying to reconcile the historical record.
Well, that and skirt around the truth, whichever side it may be on.
Right. And it's like, it also kind of implies itself of like, you see how both sides of these stories came about.
And how easy it is to interpret a statement to be on your side or quote unquote the other side.
Right. And it's a great example of what is said and what is meant are not always the same thing. So in 1066, Edward the Confessor dies and proclaims that Harold is his heir. It is after this that when Harold becomes king, he's invaded by the Vikings and that distracts him. But then William invades England. But in the time that Harold's fighting the Vikings, William appeals to the Pope through his brother Otto, who is a bishop, basically getting the Pope to condemn Harold because he broke an oath upon sacred relics. And the Pope basically declares that William is the rightful king of England. And this is important because it establishes that, you know, basically the church came in, as the church is like fighting in it of itself and split, now very much split, and in the aftermath of the biggest split that the church has had in its history, the Pope is basically involving and saying, yeah, like if he did this, go handle it. Like, I don't think the Pope really understood what he was doing.
Well, it's also just like one of the first kings in a long line of English kings who get denounced by the Pope.
Yes. Ironically, named the most famous one, named Henry. So William defeats Harold at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. So it is important. Harold ascends the throne in January of 1066 and dies in October of 1066.
Yeah, like it's not even a year.
And so they basically secures and makes him the king of England. What I found so interesting is that William does not sit and rule the throne. He goes back to Normandy. And he leaves governance of England to proxies. And so he basically leaves most of the established nobility in the places that they are. So Morcar, who was the Earl of Mercia, but then has now the Earl of Northumbria, and Edwin, the new Earl of Mercia, they basically keep all their lands, keep their titles, and keep their power. And William even promises marriage of his daughter to Edwin of Mercia. And so he also sets up new earldoms, with his brother Otto becoming the Earl of Kent and his friend William Fitz-Osbern as the Earl of Hertford / Wessex. Harold's family and his supporters are stripped of land and titles and banished from England.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a typical thing that happens when you lose. So Fitz-Osbern and Otto were left in charge of England. And then basically there's some different things that happen in the year. In 1068, 2 years after this, Morcar and Edwin launch a revolt and they fail. In 1069, another earl that was appointed, Edgar the Etheling, launches another failed revolt. In 1070, the Archbishop of Canterbury dies, and William is charged with appointing a new Archbishop of Canterbury, and he does not appoint his brother Otto for Archbishop of Canterbury. And most historical records, from what I could find, think this is because he did not want to give someone in his family a position of power. He basically was trying to avoid nepotism.
Really?
Yes, and that he was getting pressure from Pope Alexander to appoint the person that he did.
More likely, in my opinion. I don't think why would a king care about nepotism?
That's what the historical record said. So I don't.
All right.
I think this was after, I think Morcar and Edwin thought, he's going to become proxy. We're the established earls. We're going to get control of England. But of course, William doesn't trust them. He puts people he trusts in charge. And this leads to a revolt. And so, he can tell that I think what is likely happening is there are probably whispers that, he doesn't care about any of our history of our nobility. He only cares about putting his friends in power and controlling his own power. And so, in order to keep the peace, he doesn't appoint his brother as Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yeah. I see that.
And then after this, several attempts to unseat William's power in England and power in Normandy are made, but he brings them all down. In 1082, he calls for the arrest of his brother Otto, though no historical record is clear as to why.
That's one of those questions that's going to bug me forever.
It's just like a footnote in a lot of things, and people are like, we don't know. We have some theories, maybe he tried to lead a revolt or something that we don't have documents of or whatever, but no one knows why.
Well, the show very much paints his brother as a kid who can't ever do the right thing. He just kind of is bad at everything. And then he gets banished to the church and spins this web of lies. And that's how he becomes a bishop, because he's just so good at lying. He's convinced everyone in the church that he really does believe all this. So it makes you wonder, okay, how much of that is true, number one? And if any of that's true, there's probably a lot of stuff he was doing behind the scenes that we'll never know about.
Right. And I think that William probably puts him in power because, the old adage, the devil is better than the one you don't.
Right.
But yeah, I think this is a good place for our mid-break, unless you have some things you want to add.
All right, let's go to that mid-break.
Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
You look like the one thing in the world Alcibiades wouldn't take to bed. Can you even see out of that thing?
Mock all you want. When those Malakas and Zakros see this... The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The human postponer. They were the master of one phrase. I'll circle back on that. But 3 months later, you were the one doing all their work and wondering how big that circle is. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can take the hiring load off your plate by automating the hiring busy work from the initial job post to scheduling interviews. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Tidy Cats, here to level up your litter game with their new Performance Plus lineup. Your home is your happy place, your cats, VIPs. So when it comes to the litter box, excellence isn't optional. Choose from products that specialize in max power clumping, low tracking, or odor fighting so advanced, stink won't see it coming. Tidy Cats Performance Plus. Mission mighty, keep it tidy. Shop now at tidycats.com.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Beast charging towards them. They will know fear.
Let's start light. Tell me a joke.
Why must samurai always battle one another? Because there is only one way for a samurai to get ahead. Ahead. I did not say it was a good joke.
Makose! Shoot! Shoot the flying demon!
All right, welcome to the middle of the show. This is where we take time to talk about all of the lore cast things and not the lore of Assassin's Creed. So the first thing that we do every week is thank all of our wonderful patrons. Thank you all so much for your financial support. We truly could not keep making the show without you. If you would like to show your thanks and get access to some pretty awesome rewards and merch, you can join the Patreon at patreon.com/AC Lorecast. If you can't support us financially, the next best way to support the show is to leave us a rating, a review, a comment, share our podcast with whoever you know that's interested in Assassin's Creed. Now, if you leave us a review with 5 stars and some kind words, we will read it out on a future episode of the show. And the last thing I have to shout out is our Discord server. It's the best place on the internet. It's a fun place to be. If you want to talk with like-minded gamers, you know where to join us. You can find the link in the episode description. And with that, Austin, I think we can get back into it.
Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This episode is brought to you by Tidy Cats, here to level up your litter game with their new Performance Plus lineup. Your home is your happy place, your cats, VIPs. So when it comes to the litter box, excellence isn't optional. Choose from products that specialize in max power clumping, low tracking, or odor fighting so advanced, stink won't see it coming. Tidy Cats Performance Plus. Mission mighty, keep it tidy. Shop now at tidycats.com.
Tomorrow morning is knocking. Stock your fridge now. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or a sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
No, you're right. Let's all just screw around while the world falls to pieces.
Hey, this isn't easy, you know.
Right, like we're all on vacation out here?
Enough! Look, everyone's under a lot of pressure, but we're the only ones who can stop Abstergo, so we need to keep it together.
She's right. We need to be a hive mind, people.
Anybody up for some reconciliatory yoga? Anyone?
Very funny, guys.
You have my thanks. Keep the sword, Ezio. Do I know you from somewhere? Don't you recognize me? It's me, Mario! Uncle Mario? It's been too long, Nipote. Far too long.
Malaka.
So, as part of his efforts to secure England, he orders many castles, keeps, and moats to be built. Among them, the central keep of the Tower of London and the White Tower. Basically, and these are basically why no rebellion or force can really conquer him or do anything, is because it basically allowed like all of the military to be garrisoned within the Tower of London and the White Tower, preventing them from being like ransacked by raiders in the countryside. It basically like solidified the army into one area that no force could penetrate. It was a perfect siege place. So he also established local lords to commit a quota of knights to his conquest and to garrison his castles. So this is interesting because this is basically the first time that a standing united army of like, this is the army of England. Those kinds of concepts are relatively new historically. Typically, you had like a group of people of like the Mercian Fjords is what they're called. And like, oh, these men report to this lord who reports to this person who has sworn loyalty to this king. But this person could, be swayed to do something else and do all of that. Basically, William is establishing that, like, no, if you want basically the support of the crown and to keep your lands, you're going to garrison some of your men and your knights that are in service to me.
Mm-hmm.
Which is basically the beginning of, like, a standing national army.
Right. That's the thing that's different is like there have been armies for forever. Like, oh, this is the army of England, such and such. But it's not like it's been able to be called upon in a second. Like, oh, they're all stationed at this place and they can go wherever and they've got their weapons. Like it was a group of people. Okay, well, we've got to wait a week for them to all get here from their farms.
Exactly. And like that's really where we're at. And like so like he also starts like seizing land. He seizes 36 parishes to create basically the royal forest. And there are some historian accounts who like take this and like, oh, he's seizing land from farmers and taking it from people. Though other historians claim that this was mainly hunting land and most of this land had very poor agricultural value. So it's more that he's seizing land that lords aren't using to support like farming and supporting the livelihood of their estates. It's just like, oh, I want to hunt here. And so now I want to hunt here. This is going to be like the crown's land. Very, very like he starts establishing a very strong and controlling central government.
Which doesn't surprise me at all, frankly.
No.
I mean, he is French.
Yes. But he did keep, he sought basically to keep his conquered lands separate. Like he didn't try to say, oh, now this is all part of Normandy. Whereas, okay, the kingdom of Wessex could conquer a stretch of Mercia. And now this is part of the kingdom of Wessex and not Mercia. And it's more like he's conquering and saying like, okay, but now you can go back and be however you want to be. You just pay me your taxes and report to me and have loyalty to me. It's very Greek and Roman in its instance of like the Greek and Roman, when they conquered a land, they didn't say, oh, now you're part of Rome now. It's that, no, we're in charge. You can keep your religion. You can keep your culture, but you're going to pay us your taxes and you're going to do what we say.
Right. Like they didn't say, okay, you have to assimilate and do everything the way we do, but you do have to pay us because that's the bottom line.
Right. And like, I think it's one of the reasons that their empires last so long is because they're not taking things away from people. Like, yeah, they are oppressive, but generally the everyday people continue to live their lives exactly as they have always lived them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very smart way to conquer without fear of the people rising against you.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, eventually they will, because you're going to keep raising the taxes and raising the taxes and raising the taxes. And at some point, it's just going to be too high.
Yep. So he lives on, but he dies in France after his son, Robert, basically supports the reigning French king who leads a campaign against William. And he doesn't die, and he kind of died. It's unclear if he dies in battle or dies as a result of an injury somewhere. But yeah, he dies, and then the English throne passes and everything that happens there. And that's really kind of like the brief synopsis of his history.
There's a lot more,
yes,
but that's all that's needed for this episode.
Correct. And so I do want to mention his Assassin's Creed involvement because there is a little bit that I want to note. He is only mentioned in a database entry, and he's mentioned in the Syndicate database entry, which makes sense, and basically linking him to the construction of the Tower of London. Now, the Tower of London is significant for two things. In the 1720s or 1730s, it is unclear, Edward Kenway hides the Shroud of Eden in the Tower of London, which is then later found by Queen Victoria and moved to the vault under Buckingham Palace. The Tower of London also holds the Koh-i-Noor diamond. I just think that is important to note that he constructs a facility that houses pieces of Eden.
You know, Assassins and Templars both involve themselves in pieces of Eden. That's all I'm going to say.
I just wanted to say.
Okay.
So, a couple of notes for discussion, I think, that are important lore points to know. Alfred the Great, or Alfred of Wessex, as we know, is the founder of what is the Templar Order. He eradicates, basically, brings down the Order of Ancients and establishes the Templar Order. Harold Godwinson is the Earl of Wessex. He is the heir to Alfred the Great's seat of power. England, historically, has always been a Templar stronghold. France, historically, has always been an assassin stronghold, with a few exceptions here and there. William allies himself with Harold Hardrada, he's a Norse king. It is largely theorized that the Norse kings are Templars, based on a cut-off dialogue that happens in Valhalla. When Eivor is going up to talk to Sigurd's father, who is talking to Harold Fairhair, who is the first king of Norway, they are talking, and it sounds like Sigurd's father is saying to Harold, he says, "May the," and then it cuts off and he stops when Eivor approaches. Which a lot of fans theorize that sentence was going to be, "May the Father of Understanding guide us."
I would say it seems like a stretch, but it's Assassin's Creed, so I don't feel like it is.
I've watched the scene several times. It's very convincing.
Okay.
William is backed by the papacy, who has historically always been pro-Templar, with a couple of exceptions. So, what do you think?
I want to hear your answer first.
I think that this conflict is an inner Templar conflict.
Yeah, I was going to say this is Templar on Templar crime.
And this is why I say this, is that I think that likely if this is going to be played in any kind of like Assassin's Creed, I think that William has a sword of Eden. And that is where he draws his charisma and his power and his leadership. And I think that Harold, in a lot of ways, holds an apple of Eden. In a sense of like, he historically very much is like at the scenes of like this manipulation and influences and trying to like create these stories. And like Edward the Confessor is a crap king.
Well, he was never meant to be king.
No. And his Harold Godwinson, the Godwins, were always pulling at the strings of the kingdoms of Wessex, of England, and of the King of England, because Wessex is the seat and line of Alfred. They believe that they should have a say in that. And, it's Alfred's heirs that build up London and like establish it as this kind of centerhold in England versus Wessex, or Winchester, which is the capital central place of Wessex. And I think that there are a lot of reasons London is very much more central between all four kingdoms of England, and it makes more sense for the centralized branch of power to be there. It also sits on the River Thames, which gives it access for trade and stuff. And so, but what this points to is that I think that Harold is getting too big for his britches. And I think that the Templars, which I think are probably the Pope and some other people in there, they are stating Harold is becoming a problem. William, you're going to take his place and go deal with him.
I can definitely see that. And I think it might be more so of like it's not that he's becoming a problem. It's that he's becoming uncontrollable.
Yes, which we see. I mean, that's what the Templars do with Hitler. Basically, Hitler becomes uncontrollable and all of these things. And I think it's important to note that like Templars are not devoid of morality.
True.
They can be very moral. Look at Otto Berg, look at Haytham Kenway, even Governor Torres from Assassin's Creed Black Flag. He is yelling at the Templars who practice slavery because he believes it to be barbaric.
True. That's a great point. And I was like, Haytham and Otto Berg cannot be our only examples here.
And so there are just a lot of things that come into this point. And like, when we take in Assassin's Creed Rogue, like a lot of those people there are very moral people who care about the people that they're trying to lead. And so like William can be a quote unquote good person and still be in charge and still ally himself with these Templars. But I just think that given his desire to conquer and his desire to put himself into power, there's too much like ambition for power for him to be an assassin, in my opinion.
Yes, I agree with that. And I'm not sure if I would say how much I think he's sold into the Templars, but I definitely think he would at least see the Templars as a body to use to help him get ahead. I don't necessarily think that he's sold out for the cause. You know what I mean?
He is also so entrenched in the church that I could see a kind of like parental like allegiance to that, basically, for the Templar kind of there.
Yeah.
And that's like he's raised by bishops. He's friends with bishop. His brother is a bishop. Like there's just a lot of influence here. And a person like William is exactly the kind of person that the Templars would want on their side to be able to control and assume that someone who is in there. And I think William, he might not be bought into the Templar idea, but I think he is a high-ranking Templar. I don't think he's a Grand Master, but I think that he is up there, and I think that he is in a place in the inner circle where they send him to clean up messes. He could be a Black Cross, he could be something like that, but I think that he is very much reminds me, the way he like comes in, fix things, and then leaves, he reminds me very much of Atticus on The Chosen. They like who works for the Emperor, and he comes in.
I love Atticus.
And he just like is like trying to like in the background control and do everything, and then that's how I see William as like a ruler. He doesn't want to involve himself in like hearing the disputes or anything like that, but when things come a problem, he comes in and his control is absolute.
Yeah,
his retaliation is absolute.
He doesn't want to involve himself unless he has to. Exactly. And when he has to, he will.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this time period, this setting is absolutely ripe for an Assassin's Creed game. However, I don't know. I don't know if we'll go there, anytime soon, because we just had Valhalla. We're going to the Holy Roman Empire and Hex. To go back to France and England just feels a little bit redundant too with Syndicate. So I'm just not sure we'll get a third game in England and a second game in France.
Right. I think I agree with that. And I think that I would like to see some more like Central Asia.
I want to see South America.
South America, Africa.
Yeah.
Those countries. I am going to acknowledge Egypt is in Africa. We have had a game set on the continent of Africa.
But we've never had a game set in South America.
No, we've had some stories in there. And like you could argue like the Caribbean kind of exists in like its like this borderland because it's Central America.
No, the Caribbean is Central America. The Caribbean is the Caribbean. South America is different. I mean, there are cultural differences between South America and Central America.
I think Venezuela is a perfect setting for an Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah, I think there's so much in South America that they could do. Truly, I do. But yeah, I mean, there's so much to explore in history. The settings are endless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree.
All right. Well, it sounds like we think William the Conqueror, Templar for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think. And I think his particular conflict in England with Harold Godwinson is Templar on Templar crime.
That's what I said.
I know, I'm using your phrase.
All right. Well, thank you, Austin, for doing the research as always. And thank you for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Assassin's Creed Lorecast. If you have any lore questions, theories, or topics you'd like us to unpack, join our Cups Podcasting and More Discord server. It is the best place on the internet.
You can also support the show financially and ensure its continuation by becoming a patron at patreon.com/ACLorecast. If you enjoyed the show or learned something new today, please subscribe, leave us a review, comment or rating, or join our Patreon.
The Assassin's Creed Lorecast is part of the Robots Radio Podcasting Network. If you enjoyed our show's intro or outro music, give a big shout out to Pipeman Studios.
And until next time, Assassins, and remember, stay in the shadows to serve the light.
At ZocDoc, we know being a healthy adult is like living in a video game. Every day has side quests, taxes, laundry, birthdays, and just when you're leveling up, you have to book a doctor. The insurance portal crashes, they put you on hold, your doctor doesn't take your plan, game over. We see you, so we made booking a doctor easy. Download ZocDoc, search by specialty, insurance, and availability. Book instantly, no cheat codes required. Find a doctor you love with ZocDoc.
See you. Avatar: Fire and Ash is now streaming on Disney+. It's the film critics are calling the best Avatar yet.
Yeah! Go, 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 go!
A true epic and completely jaw-dropping.
This is the only pure thing in this world.
Return to Pandora on Disney+.
It will be an adventure for the whole fam.
And watch the Oscar-winning phenomenon at home.
This is sick!
Avatar: Fire and Ash, now streaming on Disney+. Rated PG-13.